In today's Music Theory Mastery Breakdown, we're going to do a quick run through some Puccini. It's beautiful. Jenny's going to sing it. On with the show. Hey, Positively Presto people. Mr. Jones here again with awesome Jenny. Hi.
Hi.
Right. Tell them what we're doing today.
Can I ask you what we're doing today, just because I want to hear you pronounce it?
You might hear it in a Warrington accent if you do. Today we're doing O mio Babbino Caro.
It's not bad.
What we're doing?
O mio Babbino Caro.
I have an uncle who lives in Rome. I will send him my pronunciation and get a score for it. B-, must do better. Right. Puccini today.
Yes.
Great choice from Jenny today doing this one. I think we learn a lot about simplicity from this track. I was saying to Jenny before that when we talk about the theory stuff, when we do these videos, they really do come from the heart. They're quite on the moment, on the spur, because obviously as I look at the music, it's like reading text. I know what it's saying, but it's only when we come to do these that we actually then start thinking about why it's working, what's working, that kind of stuff. We're in the key of G. And in this piece, we learn a lot about motif. And we'll get Jenny to talk about the meaning behind the lyrics, because her Italian's better than mine. We'll get Jenny to talk about the meaning behind the lyrics, which in turn informs the emotion. Because yes, without the meaning behind the lyrics, what is the emotion? So tell us about the meaning behind the lyrics.
So the whole song is sung by the character Loretta, and she is trying to win round her father so she can marry the man that she loves. Her father has said no, and the whole song is she's pleading with him. At first it's almost quite jovial, the pleading, how she wants to go and buy a ring, and then sort of by the end of the song it kind of takes a darker turn, and she basically says she cannot live her life any longer without this man in her life. And so particularly the last lyrics, so Babbo Pieta, is Father have pity. So it all takes a sad turn towards the end. However, as if you've ever watched an opera, you'll probably know they're not that happy. So
this one's not.
No.
She's not happy about that at all, is she?
Beautiful song though. Beautiful aria.
Which you...
I know, I keep kneeling.
Yeah, it's with the wobble.
I know.
Rock and roll. Right. So with that in mind, with that emotion in mind, in particular, throughout the main theme, we'll run a little bit of it in a second, but you'll hear this jump of an octave, which when you first suggested it, when you mentioned the title, I didn't suddenly recognize the title, but the moment that you sang the first few bars, that's the bit that is one of those hooks that sticks in your mind so much, and you think, what, the jump of an octave was the defining thing. It's the emotion behind the performance, because it's the meaning behind the lyrics, which I didn't know at the time, but the emotion through which the vocalist sang it is the thing that delivers it. So even if you didn't understand the lyrics, you can hear the emotion in the voice.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah, does that make sense? Right. So it starts with the theme instrumentally. See what I mean? Gorgeous, eh? Okay.
That good, eh?
So right at the beginning, we're in the key of G, and the melody, starting on the strongest note, the one that grounds it most to the key that we're in, is the root, going straight to the major third, indicating that it's a happier sound at first. But of course, let's not read too much. I mean, she's obviously not a happy bunny, is she? Going to the major seventh there of the scale, and then scalically up the scale, octave, fifth. And the reason that I show you that is so that you can see that right from the very beginning, how clearly Puccini is focused on the establishing of the key and the main chord number one, because we start first, second, third, back to the first of the tonic chord, the chord number one in the key that we're in, up to the octave, down to the fifth. So it's basically an arpeggio moved around, you know, and adding in the second note of the scale. So super simple with regards to the notes of the chord that we're in. But that simplicity is the thing which we really latch onto, because sometimes things can be over-engineered. You know, the amount of times when I've gone to compose something and I listen back to it, and especially if you come back to it a few days later and you think it's either exactly what I wanted or quite often very complicated, and I think even I can't latch on to where I was going with that. So the next neat thing that happens in this is we have established this strong sense of key, and then in the performance, the full performance that we'll put after this, you'll see that it goes to chord G with the B in the bass, which keeps us on chord one, but it also slightly weakens the chord. It's like a variation on the same chord. You could play the inversion in the right hand higher up, so that you get different versions, literally different inversions of that chord. But if you put the chord one over different bass notes, chord of G over G, chord of G over B, can you see how it destabilizes? It makes it sound happier still, but just slightly almost unnerved, I think. It's not as strong as that. Chord one in root position, chord one in first inversion. And as you'll see in the likes of Composer Launch Pack and our Music Theory Mastery course, click the link, it's in the description. Here we've got chord one in first inversion, and what we learn in music theory is that the inversion is all about whatever the bottom note is. It's not just what is up at the top. So yes, indeed, that's root position, first inversion, second inversion, back to root position. But if I put a G in the bass, root position, still root position, still root position, still root position, because everything is to do with the context of what's right down there at the bottom. Handy hint and tip number one that we get out of this piece is let's keep things nice and simple. Handy hint and tip we get from this number two is destabilizing a chord by using it in a different inversion. In the next section, beautiful chord sequence, and the reason that works so well is that in music we have cadences. Cadences are progressions of chords, usually at the end of a phrase. If I'm in the key of G, beautiful playing there by Jones in the key of G, and that is a 5-1 progression in the key of C, a 5-1 cadence, or a perfect cadence as it's also known. If I'm in the key of G, D is chord 5, and if I play from chord 5 to chord 1, I get a perfect cadence. A plagal cadence is a 4-1 progression, sometimes called the Amen cadence, and is used an awful lot in sacred music, music of the church. Sacred is of the church, secular is not of the church. Information we'll cover another time. But the point of that bit is that 4-1 gives you this much softer cadence because of the repeating and common tone of the first note of the key that you're in. That's what makes it sound so smooth. So a 4/1 cadence has common tones shared between those, and the common tone that you're sharing is the first note of the scale, and that's what makes that sound so smooth. And then going into this next section of O mio bambino caro. O mio bambino caro.
No, it's not an M.
O mio bambino.
It's not an M.
O
mio Babbino.
O mio babbino caro.
Hey! Still very northern.
Well, if Italy was in Warrington, in fact, we might have been in a Roman. Moving on. Here's chord 1. And what we move to is chord 5. So we've got this. And what that's doing is we start on chord 5. Down a 4th to chord 2, down a 4th to chord 6. So that whole is this lovely 4/1 descending progression, which sounds so beautiful. And the last little bit that I wanted to have a look at is how we get into this next bit, as in the repeat of the whole thing. Because the next section coming up, after the bit we've just had a look at, it now moves into a secondary dominant. We're in the key of G. The dominant chord is chord 5. And the secondary dominant, the dominant of this chord, is A major. In the key of G, A minor is a diatonic chord, a diatonic meaning of the key that we're in. And a secondary dominant is a dominant chord which isn't the original dominant chord. What that means in English is a secondary dominant is any other usage of a dominant chord, and I'll show you what that is in a second, that isn't the normal chord 5. So for example, in the key of G, D is chord 5. If I now use another chord and use it as a chord 5, but not chord 5, then that is a secondary dominant. And I'll show you how we do that. Key of G, D is chord 5, A minor is 5 notes up from D. So this currently is a 5th above D, but if I just go from A minor to D, that's not acting as a secondary dominant chord because this is a diatonic chord to the key of G. A secondary dominant is when you change it chromatically to then act as chord 5 of the chord that you're going to. So in order to make this a secondary dominant, we now make it a major chord, not A minor, but A major. Now it's a secondary dominant when we go from there to D. So we end up with... And that's what makes that little bit sound so much brighter. So if we go from, for example...
It's pretty.
Gorgeous, eh? Should we do it live?
Yeah, if you want.
Here we go.
Oh mio Babbino caro, mi piace bello, bello, andare in punta rossa a comprare l'anello. Sì, sì, ci voglio andare, e se la massa
So this was a quick whiz through some Puccini, and if you would like a slower breakdown of any of these things, there's plenty of free resources in the link below. Check out the Composer Launch Pack. Big thanks to Jenny for joining us again today.
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure, never a chore. If you've got any questions about music theory, drop them in the comments. And perhaps most importantly, if there is a piece that you would like us to break down, having a look at how it's constructed, let us know and we'll get straight onto it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
See you again soon. Take care.